They usually don't let me talk, man.
No worries, no worries. How's your day going?
It's going really good. So far, so good. It's a little rainy, but that's okay. We need the rain. So, anyway, how is everybody else doing?
Doing great, doing excellent. And
Cool.
thank you for joining us here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I think I think I've got a little bit of a nugget. So one of the things, and I know we're here talking about like what's working kind of things. Um, New little maybe like nuances, techniques that you can use with marketing and everything. And this isn't a groundbreaking technique or anything, but the way you use it, it is very important. So this is just simple texts and emails uh, that an individual real estate agent can send out to their real estate partners. And these are not their end user. These are not clients or anything. These are other real estate agents in the market. I am encouraging all of my agents to not only be friends with the folks like in their brokerage, which is great. You should know what's going on there, but expanding out and we've all met people at the different HAR events, different brokerage events, just seeing people around town and stuff like that. And everybody's done a deal with a handful of even if it's just a handful of real estate agents. It's still okay. Those should be considered a partner in the sense that you're going to exchange a listing, or you may be looking in search of a property for one of your clients. I am finding that this closeness of the realtor to realtor connection, it's becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. I believe it works really well with those people who have an attitude of abundance. They're going to share. They're going to try to send you things that's not only going to help them but help you as well. So where I'm seeing this a lot is and where we started trying this out actually was with my wife. She was a longtime general real estate agent for about 13, 14 years here in Huntsville. Left her brokerage and went to Lennar. And so it has positioned her with the ability to not necessarily compete with other agents, but bring them offers and help them facilitate and meet the needs of their clients. So what I said there, the trust part is very important. Ethics needs to be on the highest level because you aren't there to steal a client. You're there to produce a result for that other agent and in turn produce a result for yourself. So it's pretty simple. It's communication and it's just who you're communicating with. Again, the realtor communication seems really, really nice results. Very similar to when we would have one of those broker opens. You're going to invite all those brokers to your open house. This is the same list that you would want to send. Hey, I've got this new listing, or I've got a client. They're looking in Blossomwood. They want to spend, $650,000. Who's got anything?
Yeah,
because these other agents, they got pocket listings. They've got things that they know are coming up that might not be available for 45, 60 days. So it's a good way to start exchanging information and building that rapport and building that trust. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or anything like that. This is my first time on here, so I just want to make sure I'm hitting all the bases.
And you touched on something very important. I was talking to Heather yesterday about that because 2 weeks away, I went to a symposium right there in downtown Huntsville, put together by KW and the Nicole team. And it was great to see the camaraderie and the teamwork between the agents of different brokerages, right? Looking
Yes.
to help one another, and the end result is for the benefit of that client. So touching on that, it's great to see that because it's a very competitive market. It's a very competitive industry.
Yes, it is.
But having an attitude of abundance and helping each other out goes a long way.
It does go a long way, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to touch with you was, you've worked with some of the cloud agents that you've come so far.
Yes.
What has been that experience with the agents and compared with other brokerages and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a relationship deal there. The one person that I worked with, Sarah, quite a bit. We just needed to learn each other's nuances. We needed to learn, how we communicate best. So I mean, it's just like meeting a client for the first time. You wanna talk to them about, what they like, what they don't like. Sarah does this really cool newsletter for basically the Hampton Cove area, which is very niche for her, but it's very effective also. So understanding, where all that information comes from, and when I get those things, I'm sending those out to my network as well.
Yeah.
So we're expanding without even really trying. So that experience has been really good. I think learning how to deal with each individual lead is very important. Some of these people are kicking tires. Some of them, their credit score is like 480, and they still think that they can buy a house right now. So it's walking through these things with the agents, keeping them informed, letting them know, hey, this guy needs to work on his credit some. Sarah and I've got 3 people right now who are working on credit. Neither one of us are credit professionals, but we can point them in the right direction in order to get some things in line. So yeah, I think it serves itself really well to. I mean, Sarah's one of my teammates, so I treat her with that same respect, with that same responsiveness. So she is like one of my people,
Did you mention, some people are just tire kickers, low credit score. What game plan do you guys have in place for any needs that comes like that? Because some people can easily turn them away and just not talk to them or ghost them, right? How do you guys handle that situation?
So I think it's important to know everybody's story. So understanding, what they're trying to accomplish, where their shortcomings may be, where their strong points are, and they might not be able to buy right now, but next March they're going to be ready to go. So I think it's important to stay in touch with them and nurture that. Let them know that any questions they have, from a financing standpoint, to get in touch with me. From a real estate standpoint, get in touch with, whoever I may be working with on the other side. So I think it's every one of these people. It's they're important, and most people just don't have the education to know what they need to do and how to do it. So that education piece is a huge part. At least it is for me. I like people to be aware and understand. That way we can set their expectations the right way. Because, a sub 600 credit score may take 2 or 3 months. It may take 6 months, depending on, what they can actually allocate towards correcting that score. So,
absolutely.
Staying in touch is super, super important. Just a real quick deal. I've got a guy who I did a 2-1 buy down with almost 2 years ago. So he's coming up on his last year of buy down. And I couldn't get him to fill out an application. I was like, Levi, come on. I've got your back, tell me what's going on, And he comes back to me and first of all, he apologizes for being kind of rough and abrupt and stuff. But then with this coming up, I'm not going to be able to afford my house. And, we've been kind of chasing each other around for 2 weeks, and I couldn't quite get him in a position to actually tell me what's going on. So yesterday, he finally told me, we've got everything out on the table. I know what his last mortgage statement looks like. I know where his credit score is approximately. So we're going to take a look at how we can get down to where he is right now, which is 5.75. So there's always a solution when you know what that person's story truly is. Everybody's different.
And you touched on that multiple times, knowing people's story, right, and educating them. I truly believe that a lot of these people dream to purchase a home, and they click on the ad that comes through. They have the aspiration to own a property, but they truly don't know if they can or not. So it's just a matter of communicating and educating them in that process, and helping them get there. Because a lot of them don't know how to get there, how to get to that line. So I like,
that's right.
Like, how you touch on that and really learning the story, because we all have a story and be able to get there to that point. It's incredible.
Yeah. Good deal.
How do you tailor the approach depending on like you said now, Levi, the approach was a little different because you understood, you knew his story, so you were able to help him out.
Yeah.
What are some of the lending trends that agents need to keep an eye on?
So for me personally, of course I look at rates, right? Everybody looks at rates. Those rates don't really, there's not a lot of movement, either way. There's an eighth here, maybe a quarter here, but it's not, they're not moving around too terribly much. For me, what is moving around a lot is what do the discount points look like? That rate may have been sitting on 6.125 for literally the past week, but behind the scenes, the ability to buy that rate down and provide them possibly with a lender credit is improving gradually, but you see it move a lot more on that side than you do on the actual rate. So that's a difficult conversation to have with a borrower, because you got to remember they don't know what you're talking about at all usually. So that is one of the things that I focus on for each individual. So come back around to the second part of that question, Andres.
Yeah, the first part was tailoring the approach depending on where the client's at in their journey.
Yeah. So
how do you tailor that approach depending on what they are? Anyone in particular that comes to mind recently?
There's not anybody really in particular. Again, I think you just have to listen to some of the cues. Sometimes there's urgency. Sometimes there's complacency. Sometimes you're working with a husband who's ready to go and a wife who is like, I kind of want to stay here, kind of thing. So when it's that type of situation, I think it's important to have both people on the phone. So that does present a very unique approach when you're dealing with the dynamics of, say, like a marriage or a partnership.
Yeah,
I
if they're
think
not in the same page, it's a challenge.
right, and a lot of times getting them on the phone together, they're able to talk about things that maybe they aren't talking about when we're not on the phone, because they've kind of got me as their intermediary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound. I'm not a counselor or anything like that, but sometimes you are a little bit of a counselor.
Yeah, I think Heather mentioned that several times. Sometimes we have to put the psychiatrist or the counselor hat in some situations. So that's the beauty of this job, right?
But again, I think each individual is, of course, uniquely different. They've got a unique set of financial parts. They've got a unique set of personal parts. And a lot of cases, I'm working with a lot of younger borrowers now. They're wanting to get set up for the future. They aren't just looking at what's going to happen in 25 and 26. They want to know, they want to be prepared for 27 and 28. So a lot of these folks, they're just married. Maybe this is their first home, but they're only going to be there 3 to 5 years because they're planning on having a family. So you have to put those things into perspective for them and talk to them about their plans. And again, I think listening is a I don't want to say a lost art, but it is a communication art that we need to pay attention to.
Along with that, what do you recommend, or how can agents better set their buyers up with financial success? Any advice you would give to agents on that conversation?
To set them up for financial success,
Yeah.
I think again you've got to ask the right questions. A lot of times people don't have a dollar amount for their whole purchase in mind, but they have that they can only spend like $2,000 a month on their house. So that's a little bit different than somebody coming in with a contract in hand on a $750,000 house and they're doing 20% down. It's a different conversation altogether. So I don't know whether that kind of approach is what you're talking about or not.
No, and that makes sense. Right before you jump in, when we're talking about buyers setting up their agent expectation with list price and purchase price, and sometimes people go into that. Oh, I'm going to get the house for 500. That's 500,000 it is, and that's it. Not necessarily knowing that that's not the final price, but having those conversations, setting up the expectations, it's very important.
Right.
And to do that early on.
Right. And, there's another side to that question that has to do with pre-approval. I attempt to get every single one of my clients pre-approved because for me, that is basically like shopping with cash. When you go in and you make that offer, and you have that pre-approval from a reputable mortgage company, that other agent on the other side knows that they can, with confidence, talk to their client about, their counter offer or just straight up accepting that offer. It gives a peace of mind, I think, not only to the borrower, first of all, but also to the people you're working with out there in the market. So I think that is one of the keys to setting them up to their financial success. Absolutely.
Can you walk us through your pre-approval process? What does that look like?
So I can pre-approve with just the application, a piece of identification, whether it be a driver's license, passport, a legal ID, and then some type of income documents. That may be, 30 to 60 days worth of pay stubs. It may be their W-2 for the past couple of years. Hopefully it's something that they can put their hands on pretty easily. And nowadays, with all of the digital record keeping, picking that W-2 up is a lot easier than most people realize. So with those pieces of information, and then allowing me to do a hard credit pull, I can give them a go no go.
And
At the same time, we're able to set what that purchase price looks like, and of course from there we can start the discussions of this is what it looks like, pretty much plain Jane. This is the standard. Now what does it look like if we spend, say, an extra $2,000 on buying right now, or if it's available to the client, how can we use a 1% lender credit? So that's something that we are using more and more and more, is that 1% lender credit. And it applies, I can get that to apply to about 75% of my people. So.
outstanding. Yeah. We have about 5 minutes before we wrap it up, or 3 minutes. I'll open it up for the audience to see if they have any questions. Just two more questions for you real quick. What's one of the myths or misunderstanding that you often have to clear it up for buyers?
That usually that either the rate that they're seeing today or the rates that are being talked about in the media, those rates are already basically past us. By the time they report that, it's yesterday's information, and today we're on to a whole nother reprice. So having them understand that these rates change daily, sometimes it blows people's mind. Other times they're like, okay, so that's why. It's like, yeah. So helping them understand that just because somebody sent you a 5.25% interest rate doesn't mean that you're going to get that without paying something.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I see a lot of, because there are a lot of companies they'll just miscellaneous throw around rates, and that's just simply because their volume, they're answering leads from 50, 60 people a day type of thing. So they're just sending out basically a canned response to those people.
And lastly, you mentioned communication, active listening, and learning their story, right? And the relationship with your agents are some of the key components in helping those leads move along the way and get to the closing table.
Yes.
Is there any other advice that you would give the agents to, will make an impact on their business?
I would have to say that since you're part of the team with that agent, that you need to be communicating with the agent on the other side as well. That just provides a united front. I think it's a very simple thing to do. I have my company, I have them sending out very specific timeline updates for that other agent. You want that other agent to see that the process is just as smooth for them as it is for their client. So you get that parallel path going. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows when a final walkthrough is. Everybody knows when that termite inspection is. They know what time closing is.
They don't forget that one.
It's crazy, but calendars can get screwed up. So, but simple things like uh, them knowing how much their client needs to bring to close it. Um, that is one of the biggest things that agents on the other side will comment about. That it would have been nice to know, you know. So from my perspective, I let them know when I let their client know. Of course, you do have to, from the lending perspective, you do have to be careful that none of that information is financial or personal in nature. So again, having the resources that we do as a mortgage company, we're able to make sure that every single one of those messages is 100% compliant. They're getting information, and it's good information, but it's not, their social security number or how much money they made last year, or even what their debt to income ratio is. Um, those are those are conversations reserved for us as lenders and them as customers to keep their privacy intact. So yeah, I think communication with that other agent is super important. Again, it goes back to building your network. You may not have ever worked with that agent before. Let's show them a good time.
Always.
Make sure that they feel good, because that just gets passed along to their client. When they feel good, they can make their client feel good. So
awesome. Anyone has any questions for Eric before we wrap it up? No? All right. Man, they let you up.
Cool. Yeah, no doubt.
No, hey, appreciate you being here, Eric. And man, I look forward to getting in touch with you personally here. So
yes,
we'll get together soon and
100%.
Again, great insight, great information. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of the week.
You as well. Bye.